Original casting was Regina King was in the play with me, but she was not my daughter. She was a little girl that lived down the street that plucked my nerves, talking and loud and carrying on. And Hal Williams was my husband in the play. Susie Garrett was my sister, my stepsister. She was in the play, but Brandon took her off the stage and put her in Punky Brewster. Now I was trying to get her for 227. So I hadn't met Elena. So I met Elena the day of the table read, and Ruth Brown had been in checking in with me. And so we were trying to get Ruth Brown. The network wanted Ruth Brown. The director wanted Elena. And so I just gave both of them all the tips. And when we got to the table read, we had both of them. And we went through it again, and Ruth lost her nerve. She saw Elena, and she lost her nerve, and they picked Elena. She didn't do what she had done before. And so they thought it would be funny to have her popping up and doing things. But I told her, we would hire her, we would have her on the show. But I told her, I said, you see how God works. You went and did this Broadway show, and you got the Tony for Black, and then you've been in Paris. So that's where you were supposed to go. You weren't supposed to be on this show. We always want to do things because we don't know what the big plan is, So anyway, that's how we got Elena. And the girl who had played my daughter in the show, everybody got to read. Sonia was now a little older, and they wanted her to be younger. And so we looked at Regina, and she looked like Hal. They had both of them had the same color eyes and this sandy hair. So she looked like she could have been his daughter. So we picked Regina. And then for Elena, there was a young girl from New York that played her daughter. And she ended up leaving because her mother was just so unhappy. She had a little boy, and she had to sit in that rehearsal hall on the set with her daughter, and her husband's in New York, and she was just not a happy camper. So finally, they let her out of the contract, and she went back to New York. So they never explained what happened to Elena's daughter. But it's a funny thing. For television, they take people off, and after a while, the public just goes with whatever they do. They never have to say, well, what happened to this? Jack Kay came from New York also, I think. And yeah, she did come from New York. And she came in and she read for Elena's part. And then she asked if she could read for Sandra's part. Well, the network really wanted Cheryl Lee Ralph. And I love Cheryl Lee Ralph, but I said, she's not right for this part. And so, I got on their nerves because I was sitting in on casting. And I said, she's too polished. She just came off of Broadway. She looks like no one will ever believe she lives in this little raggedy building. Why would she be here? And Jackie came in. Jackie was a little overweight at the time. And she's talking in this baby voice. And she came in, and it was hysterical. And I said, that's her. So they said, well, she's over the top, so she'll probably only do 7 out of 13. She ended up doing all of them because she's very clever, and she's very funny and very smart. And she's so funny that sometimes we would be doing a scene, and I'd have to say, I just have to laugh and say, come out the scene, and then go back there. She'd have to laugh herself sometimes. She'd do something that was so outrageous. We would both have to laugh, and then take a breath and go back to the scene. But she's brilliant. What she does, she can do alone. So when you try to make two people with two different rhythms come together, it doesn't work. She had to do it. It was great having her on the side as a separate story and let her come down and create problems for me. But then they decided, well, we don't need Elena. I said, you do need Elena, because why would I let this girl in my house? I wouldn't let her in. I said, I let her in because Elena brings her. Rose brings her down, and I open the door to Rose, and she's got her with her, And then when I want to hit her, Rose gets between us, so that I can't get to her. So it makes it fun. And so that's how we operated.